for free emotional support, educational resources, patient navigation, financial counseling, and more. 617-797-3391. CancerSupportMass.org. CancerSupportMass.org.
We are the Debt Destroyer Network. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now for free information that helps you destroy your debt. It's great advice. Plus, when you make this free call now, we have Debt Destroyer experts ready to help. They can show you how to destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help slash your debt. Call the Debt Destroyer now for free information. Call now. 800-430-8804. 800-430-8804. 800-430-8804. Again, that's 800-430-8804.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke, a partner with the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with a master's in taxation. And today, we're talking about the implications of gifting assets away. Todd, if you're trying to protect your assets from the cost of long-term care expenses, what are the risks in giving your assets to a child rather than transferring them to an irrevocable trust?
Yeah, that's a great question. So many people feel like, oh my gosh, it's an irrevocable trust. I've lost all control. I've given up the ability to do just about anything. You know, you hear that all the time. But you know what? Think about it. If I instead gave my investment portfolio to my children, right, or my rental property to my children, I mean, how much control do I have over that? I got none. I mean, I got to rely on them to pretty much do everything, not to mention the fact that, you know, let's say I gave my rental property away. Technically, I can't sell it. I can't do anything without the children doing it. And what you forget is the children then would be entitled to all the rent. Well, you gave away your rental income. You know, what about if a child gets a divorce and you gave them an investment portfolio to hold on to? Well, that money would all be subject to their divorce or any of their creditors. Plus, it all gets picked up on their income tax return. Folks, you give away assets, you lose all control and create lots of adverse income tax and gift tax consequences. You're way better off setting up an irrevocable trust to protect your assets from the cost of long-term care.
Educate yourself about the implications of gifting your assets away. Request your free copy of Todd's brand new guide called Making the Most of Gifting Assets right now by calling 866-848-5699, or you can request a copy from LegalExchangeShow.com. Once again, 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, LegalExchangeShow.com.
The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News and World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor that provides investment advisory services. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else, and do not guarantee profit. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting DAV5K.Boston and making a donation today. The DAV 5K Boston is presented by Veterans Development Corporation. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
It is Chuck, Mike, and Tucker with you, kicking off a brand new short week this week with the Thanksgiving holiday coming on Thursday. This is, by the way, if my math is right, this is the second earliest that Thanksgiving could possibly fall in any given November. As you know, it's always the fourth Thursday of November, and so with it being on the 23rd, it's about as early as it can be. So if it feels like it really snuck up on you, well, that's right. It did. It doesn't get much earlier than this. But we got a lot to get through today, including, in my opinion, Mike, it's really rare that you get a story where the key theme in it is just rampant dumbness. But that's what we have over the weekend with what went on at OpenAI, because quite honestly, I'm not sure how anyone who's left at OpenAI in a leadership position, board members, whoever, I don't know how they ever have a job again in the tech community after this.
See, I wasn't really willing to go there yet. I still have been waiting for this other shoe to drop in terms of
there is no other shoe. They're dumb.
But if that's all it really is, then yeah. So let's start with this, because on Friday afternoon, I believe it was, I was about to leave the office, and CNBC flashed a breaking news thing on my monitor saying that Sam Altman was out as the leader of OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, the company that has really driven all the excitement about artificial intelligence in 2023, partnered with Microsoft, testified in front of Congress. Like do you think there's anyone that is more the face of artificial intelligence than Sam Altman right now?
No.
Right.
No. And let me read the statement from the board of directors. Quote, OpenAI was deliberately structured to advance our mission to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all humanity. Okay, so you're leading off with that statement. Immediately you say, okay, Sam Altman trying to do something where he's building like an evil AGI like Skynet.
Right.
The board remains fully committed to serving this mission. Okay, we are, but who isn't? We're grateful to Sam's many contributions to the founding and growth of OpenAI. At the same time, we believe new leadership is necessary as we move forward. As the leader of the company's research, product, and safety functions, Mira, who is the person who they dubbed to take over, is exceptionally qualified to step into the role of interim CEO. We have the utmost confidence in her ability to lead OpenAI during this transition period. And then also it talks about, I'll read this. Mr. Altman's departure follows a deliberative review process by the board, which concluded that he was not consistently candid in his communications with the board, hindering its ability to exercise its responsibilities. The board no longer has confidence in his ability to continue leading OpenAI. So you read it, and again, the first thing that you think, especially when it says not consistently candid, there's one of two things that you think there. Either A, Altman has been, building a side project and working, for someone else, and you're like, hey, why didn't you tell us about this? Or B, he's doing things that violate, what they think is the mission of the company at the company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing that comes out. And then, of course, Friday night, you also get all the people speculating about drug use and sexual, like all the stuff that just like, you say, okay, like how bad could it be? Because they didn't really tell you anything.
Right.
They just said, we don't think he's the person for the job. So you're like, okay, we'll see what happens here. By Saturday morning, hey, you know what? We might be open to having Sam come back.
After you have key resignations across the company.
Right. Who was the other guy? Greg Brockman,
Yeah.
who was the chairman of the board, steps down and is like, hey, I'm out too.
And I believe he was. I believe his announcement was that I was not included in this board decision, even though he's on the board.
Yes. It was like a rogue group of board members who did this. So then you're like, okay, so that they're open to having him come back. So if that's the case, well, it can't actually be anything that bad. Because, like, if it were really something where they really thought that he was trying to harm the company, well, you wouldn't just be like, okay, we'll take you back 12 hours later. So everyone kind of speculates again all day Saturday. Sunday, hey, guess what? Sam's going to come to OpenAI headquarters and we're going to try to hash this out. Okay, great. Let's see what ends up happening. Sam then posts a picture on Twitter of him holding a guest badge, and the caption in it, just I want to make sure I get this right because the language on all of this really, really matters. First and last time I ever wear one of these, and he's got kind of an upset face, mugging at the camera. Okay, so that's what's going on there. That was at like 2 p.m. He's like, okay, I've got until like 5 p.m. Pacific to figure this out. Time comes and goes, and it becomes obvious, hey, this isn't going to end up working out. At this point, OpenAI says, you know what? The person we appointed as interim CEO 2 days ago, you're out. Wow, that was a really interim period, like 48 hours. I mean, that's like 1/10 of a Liz Truss. Like that's like how many Scaramucci's is that? I mean, like what are we doing here? And guess who we're bringing in? We're bringing in Emmett Shear, who previously founded and led Twitch, the online streaming company. Satya Nadella, this is the best. Satya Nadella, at 2:53 a.m., decides to tweet. The CEO of Microsoft is up at 3 a.m. tweeting. Quote, we remain committed to our partnership with OpenAI and have confidence in our product roadmap, our ability to continue to innovate, and everything we announced at Microsoft Ignite and continuing to support our customers and partners. We look forward to getting to know Emmett Shear. Pause. We look forward to getting to know Emmett Shear is the new FU in corporate language. It's like, okay, we don't know who the heck you are, but we're not interested. And OAI's new leadership team with them. And, this is how you know it means that, we're excited to share the news that Sam Altman and Greg Brockman, together with colleagues, will be joining Microsoft to lead a new advanced AI research team.
See you later.
So Microsoft, whatever the problem was that this group of board members at OpenAI had, Microsoft is like, you guys are idiots. We'll take him, fine. Like,
and to me, that's how you know whatever happened couldn't have been egregious.
Microsoft's not dumb.
It had to have been a difference of opinion because Microsoft, like, let's say this person was doing something atrocious, something that ruins a company's reputation, and this was actually justified. Use your imagination. We've had plenty of these. Microsoft's not going to do it. They've got plenty of revenue and plenty of profit coming in elsewhere to not want to take a risk on somebody who is going to draw the wrong attention to their company. Now, again, all of this could be proven wrong, but I don't think Microsoft would do this if they thought there was something legitimate to the firing.
No, and this gets even more clown shoes at OpenAI. I mean, here's where we got to, 45 minutes ago. This was, an hour and a half ago.
It's exciting.
OpenAI had 700 employees. 505 of them announced they were going to resign this morning.
Wow.
The other 185 probably just haven't opened their email yet. They're probably what's going on? I need to read this part of this letter to you. And I'll read just the last part of it. It's to the board of directors at OpenAI. Your actions have made it obvious that you are incapable of overseeing OpenAI. We are unable to work for or with people that lack competence, judgment, and care for our mission and employees. We, the undersigned, may choose to resign from OpenAI and join the newly announced Microsoft subsidiary run by Sam Altman and Greg Brockman. So the employees who signed on to this are like, yeah, we're going to peace out. Mike, do you know who one of the employees is who signed on to this?
I do not.
Ilya Sitskever. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell, it's because until Thursday and Friday, no one really, it wasn't in broad daylight who that was. Ilya Sitskever was the member of the board who, on Thursday, led the charge to oust Sam Altman.
And now he's saying that we demand.
And now is signing something saying that I need to resign as a board member because I don't have confidence in myself.
Oh, what a mess!
This is pure clown shoe tomfool. I don't know how you get any dumber than this.
Going a few steps further, I know that non-competes and things like that in the tech space are different and challenging. But how is the former CEO of your company allowed to suddenly just go join?
They fired him.
Right, so everything's gone.
They termed him. They were like,
"What?
You're done."
Foolishness! What foolishness!
I all weekend I was kind of trying to figure out, okay, what is actually happening here? Because you had so many different things, and again, this letter I think is the best. Kara Swisher, who was a tech journalist, said that the signing of this letter by Ilya Sitskever is pretty much like it's Taylor Swift's big song this year was Anti-Hero, right? And the chorus is like, hey, I'm the problem, it's me. This is the tech version of that. It's like, hey, I caused this and I need to leave now. Bye.
Can I give you my favorite piece of presumably satire attached to this piece that I've seen so far?
Yeah, what do you got?
Title of the article is OpenAI rehire Sam Altman after realizing he personally responded to every chat GPT query. Quote, do you know how many Robert Frost poems I've had to read? All of them. It would cost millions of dollars to pay someone else to read all the training data and even more to make an actual AI model. Does anyone even know how these things work? I like that.
And these were some of the things I was thinking about. I was like, what if there's just a bunch of trained monkeys in the back that are actually answering this instead of, an AI? You go through all of the things that could cause something like this opaqueness around why he was booted out. And in the end, all it looks like was that 4 of the board members just kind of started doing stuff and pushing buttons without talking. They didn't even talk to corporate counsel about this.
Do we know that?
Yes.
Wow.
They did not inform corporate counsel or the other board members they were doing this.
Yeah, they need to go. And these are not...
They're not dumb people.
They're leaders of other companies.
Right.
They didn't just go hire a board of, college grads off the street. Sometimes, I feel like it's easy to lose sight of this. These are, people with pretty strong resumes that have led other companies and education departments. It's just a bit confounding.
So it's what you're ending up with here is that Microsoft is probably going to end up with pretty much most of the OpenAI team. And I want to take a quick break, but I want to talk about what it means for the products that were being built by OpenAI and things like ChatGPT and all that. And I want to talk about what it means going forward because I do think this is a pretty seminal moment when it comes to how things could go for AI in the future. And I want to talk about what having a lot of that team directly under the Microsoft umbrella instead of just invested in by them could mean going forward. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll discuss that part of the story.
This is your home for the most comprehensive coverage of the economy and the trends on Wall Street. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Securing your family's financial future is one of the most important elements of estate planning. Leaving assets to your children can be very beneficial. However, gifting these assets can pose major problems. If you gift your home to your kids and they suddenly decide to sell it, your gift could create massive capital gains tax problems. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law. Let them help with your legacy planning by calling 866-848-5699. Ask for their new guide called Making the Most of Gifting Assets. Whether you're deep into the planning process or just starting out, this guide contains the information you'll need to make the right decisions for your overall plan. Call today, 866-848-5699, and get this new guide, Making the Most of Gifting Assets. That's 866-848-5699, or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Veterans Development Corporation is a proud partner of the DAV 5K Boston. Let's meet their CEO, Mark Vonner.
I enlisted in the Marine Corps when I was 18 years old, joining a long line of family members who also served our country. After my service, I connected with the VA healthcare systems, where I attended meetings with disabled veterans and learned for the first time about the DAV. I was so impressed with the work they do to help millions of veterans, including providing necessary services like transportation, education, and financial opportunities. Today, I stand a proud partner of the DAV and the 2023 DAV 5K. My company, Veterans Development Corporation, is a general contracting firm working with many disabled veterans, and I hope that by sharing my story, many other disabled veterans will be able to reach their goals once they conclude their service.
Veterans Development Corporation is proudly partnered with the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts and the presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. If you'd like to help our great American heroes by making a donation, visit dav5k.boston. If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News and World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Building a solid financial strategy is a core element to enjoying your retirement years. That's why you need advice that you can count on. At the Armstrong Advisory Group, we understand the challenges of positioning your assets to help you maintain your wealth over time. Our goal is to offer advice that is both suitable and in your best interest. When you hire one of us, you hire all of us so you can be comfortable knowing that every advisor in our firm is dedicated to helping you create a realistic plan for your later years. Visit us today at armstrongadvisory.com and sign up for a free, no-obligation planning session. Click the Get Started button at the top right corner of the homepage, and you can select the day and time that works best for you. Go to armstrongadvisory.com and let us help you secure your financial future. That's armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange has a brand new text code. Text us at 617-362-1385 and keep on top of breaking business news all day long. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts, and we want to thank all of you who recently came out for this year's DAV 5K. The event was an incredible success and a terrific tribute to our great American heroes. If you weren't able to attend but would still like to make a donation, visit dav5k.boston for all the information. That's dav5k.boston. The DAV 5K Boston was presented by Veterans Development Corporation.
So a little bit more just in terms of the future for AI and kind of where things go. Mike, you said it during the last segment, but it's fair to say that of the major platforms out there, ChatGPT is probably the most well-known at this point, correct?
It's not even terribly close.
So here's something that I was thinking about and kind of going through this. So Sam Altman and his team, let's say that they all move over and they start doing some building at Microsoft directly. What are the problems with ChatGPT, Mike?
What are the problems with it?
Yeah, what like when we talk about what it does badly, what are some of the issues?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I have just a big fundamental issue with how you train it to not disclose things that would be vastly inappropriate and problematic for society, like how to create a bomb, how to rob a bank, how to
right,
do
like,
this,
hey,
that, or the
ChatGPT,
other.
how do I hurt people?
Right.
You know, like,
that to me is one of the key fundamental underlying issues. I suppose from the company's perspective, early on they were trying to figure out how to monetize this, and that was a bit problematic. But I think that's largely past. I don't know. What do you consider some of the bigger problems with ChatGPT?
I think what you have there, like, hey, how do you actually, build it so that you're not training people to do evil stuff? Like, yes, that's part of it. It also has problems with what are called hallucinations, where it just makes stuff up that doesn't exist.
Sure.
And that's just because of how it's trained and built, and the fact that it's built to create words that are associated with each other. And so, like, sometimes you'll be like, hey, talk to me about the most important economic paper of the last 100 years. And it'll be like, well, it's the theory of taxes and money and geopolitics by blah, blah. And then you actually look that up and it doesn't exist.
Sure.
Microsoft is a company that, for a number of reasons, both its history and where it is now, is right at the center of big tech and antitrust concerns. If there's one way to get people focused on a company when it comes to antitrust, it's by potentially creating problems with customers who are individuals. Especially, like, things that are really, like, public and easy. Like, again, when you, like, oh, like, I put this into ChatGPT and it told me how to build a bomb, like, oh, like, yeah, that's Microsoft doesn't want to deal with that. Because to you, Mike, if Microsoft is selling to Mike Armstrong, there's not that much revenue they can get from you.
True.
There's just not. Like, the upside of selling to you as an individual is not that high. On the other hand, hey, I can build this into Excel and Word, and there's a lot they can do there on the B2B side.
So you're saying that the preference of a company like Microsoft would be to kill off the more retail-facing focus of this type of company?
I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft's efforts are far more focused on B2B than B2C, and that consumer, like, individual-focused applications, it's not going to be where Microsoft looks to make their money, because it's not where they make their money today. It's going to be, how can we get more money out of our corporate customers? And so from a usage perspective for individuals, I wonder if this represents kind of the peak in terms of, hey, we're going to start seeing companies shying away from doing that as much, because, yeah, well, it's fun for individuals to plug this stuff in. Ultimately, there's a lot of risk there, and we'd rather have this making money for us on the corporate side, where at least the risk is worth it.
I agree that that's going to be Microsoft's focus. When you talk about a company like Google or Facebook that makes, Google's a perfect example, right? Making all of their or a lot of their revenue from search. Their focus is going to remain on the consumer. Now, again, they don't have Sam Altman running their product now, but I will be interested to see how that develops.
Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we've got Wall Street Watch, and then we're talking about Nvidia previewing their earnings for tomorrow.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Veterans Development Corporation is a proud partner of the DAV 5K Boston. Let's meet their CEO, Mark Vonner.
I enlisted in the Marine Corps when I was 18 years old, joining a long line of family members who also served our country. After my service, I connected with the VA healthcare systems, where I attended meetings with disabled veterans and learned for the first time about the DAV. I was so impressed with the work they do to help millions of veterans, including providing necessary services like transportation, education, and financial opportunities. Today, I stand a proud partner of the DAV and the 2023 DAV 5K. My company, Veterans Development Corporation, is a general contracting firm working with many disabled veterans, and I hope that by sharing my story, many other disabled veterans will be able to reach their goals once they conclude their service.
Veterans Development Corporation is proudly partnered with the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts and the presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. If you'd like to help our great American heroes by making a donation, visit DAV5K.Boston. If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News and World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. That's 800-965-7987. Paid for by Term Direct.
This is Susan and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and this month we're talking about our free guide, the top year-end financial tips. Mike, the holidays are coming, and that brings with it the desire to gift to your family. What are the rules around the annual gifting limits?
Well, you, Susan, owe me a gift every single year, as we know. But I don't think that's what we're actually talking about. What the rules state is that you're able to make gifts in 2023 up to $17,000 without triggering any sort of reporting or paperwork requirements to the IRS. If you go above that $17,000 exemption amount per person, then you do have to file a gift tax return, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there will be any taxes owed. That's where a tax professional really comes into play here to make sure you understand what the ramifications of that are. But gifts to 529 plans, for instance, if you're looking to fund a specific goal, are very common this time of year.
So if someone's thinking about gifting away as a strategy to reduce their taxable estate, Mike, how do they go about that if they want to give away much more than the $17,000? That's the freebie, if you will.
Honestly, more than we can get to in a quick discussion, but you need to talk to a couple of planners here to make sure you understand the tax ramifications and understand the current limits, because states like Massachusetts just completely redid their estate tax, so there's new things to know about that type of strategy.
Folks, we have information about gifting as well as much more in our brand new guide, The Top Year-End Financial Tips. You can get your copy today by calling 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001, or request one online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Time now for Wall Street Watch, a complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Well, on a shortened Thanksgiving week, markets today are extending their recent rally as Wall Street digests the surprising drama from the weekend where Sam Altman was ousted from OpenAI, and in turn, Microsoft quickly swooped in to add Altman to head their AI team. At the moment, the Dow up by 0.25% or 84 points. S&P 500 also up 0.25% or 11 points. And the NASDAQ up nearly 0.5% or 63 points. Russell 2000 also up nearly 0.5%. 10-year Treasury yield up by 2 basis points, now trading at 4.46%. And crude oil up over 2%, trading at $77.56 a barrel. By the way, Microsoft shares, they are up by 1% on the Altman news. Meanwhile, shares in Bristol-Myers Squibb down by 2% after German competitor Bayer scrapped its late-stage trial of its blood-thinning drug, casting doubt about the future of Bristol-Myers developing milvexian treatment. The drug maker said it could generate more than $5 billion in annual sales if approved. Elsewhere, Boeing shares up by 4% after the company was upgraded to buy from hold by Deutsche Bank, noting the aircraft maker's acceleration of deliveries and said it believes this improved performance can be sustained. Bank of America upgraded Penn Entertainment to buy from neutral, saying shares could be helped by its new sportsbook ESPN Bet. That stock jumping by 5%. And after the close today, Zoom Technologies will post their third quarter earnings. Lowe's, Best Buy, and HP will report tomorrow ahead of the opening bell. I'm Tucker Silva, and that's Wall Street Watch.
Mike, before we get to Nvidia earnings, I want to talk about something else that now has turned out to be business-related.
Okay.
Do you see the news a few days back that Snoop Dogg said that he was giving up smoke?
Yeah, something's going to follow this, obviously.
I did. Is it a...
It just did today. He has become a paid endorser of the Solo Stove line of fire pits that are smokeless.
How did I not see that?
You're kidding.
No, I'm dead. Honestly, it might be the greatest marketing thing I have seen in years.
That is tremendous.
Especially because it took, think about the self-control it took to, I think he put up like a tweet or an Instagram thing. It was last Thursday.
Yeah.
And then to hold it over the weekend. And then today, Monday morning, he puts a video up on Twitter. I'm done with smoke. I'm going smokeless with Solo Stove.
Yeah, that's pretty genius. That's absolutely genius. See, I thought it was going to be like I thought it was just going to like endorse an edible or something like that when he posted that.
Me too.
But this
that's way better.
Oh, so much better.
It's so good. I mean, so many times I feel like I'm critical of dumb ad campaigns. This is like one of the strongest ones I've seen in years.
Yeah. This is going to get a Super Bowl ad.
It totally is.
I have one. I have one of these too, by the way.
I do too. They're great.
Pretty sweet.
They're fantastic.
There is smoke. There is smoke, but once you get that burn going, then there is no smoke. So,
Mike, let's talk about Nvidia. They've got earnings coming out tomorrow, and Nvidia has had really just kind of a choppy last 6 months or so. You know, the stock got to about $400 a share in late June. It got up to 500 or pretty close to it in August, chopped back down to 400, now back around 500. So just kind of chopping around to 15-20% range. But they've got earnings coming out tomorrow, and
expectations are pretty high.
They are. You know, it's again, this is not a company that's priced cheaply, so they've got to be able to show, hey, there's some meat here and not just smoke.
So,
you know?
So a year ago, Nvidia booked sales of $5.9 billion. They earned $680 million in earnings. The current forecast that analysts are putting together shows $16.2 billion in sales with a profit of $7.2 billion. Now, again, the stock has, tripled or something along those lines. So you have to have these types of earnings and growth in order to justify such a massive price swing. And even if they hit those numbers, it's quite possible that the stock might not perform because, again, expectations are extremely high for this company. But that type of growth is just, it's kind of tough for me to wrap my head around that, a company of this size is tripling in such a short period of time. I was going to say, we talked earlier how there's no individual who is a bigger face of the AI industry. There are a few companies other than a few publicly traded companies in my mind that are more at the front and center of AI than Nvidia.
Yeah, and the question is going to be, can they sell enough chips over the long haul to justify what the stock's showing right now? And what I will say is that I've got a couple buddies who work at big tech firms who are involved in AI.
Yep.
It's pervasive in the culture there. As in, even if your team is not working on AI-related projects, you have AI-related training every week at these companies for everyone. It's become that type of thing now. So I do think that there's going to be a continued spend and push from these companies to do this. But I guess I kind of, and I don't know the answer to this, but do you just keep needing to buy like an exponentially larger number of chips to build exponentially larger models that do more stuff? At some point, that seems to just not have a great return for you.
I suppose. Yeah, I think maybe my mind's just clouded by this recently because I've just been reading a lot about military-type applications of artificial intelligence recently.
Sure.
And again, we talk about the different growth areas that are out there, and it just seems kind of limitless in some degree. One of the ones that I was reading about had to do with drone technology being used, especially in the war between Russia and Ukraine right now. There are all these unmanned drones that are directed from somewhere close to the battle scene, and the question is, okay, how soon is it before some of these drones are just controlled by artificial intelligence? The other one that I had heard about was a podcast about the Space Force, which I had completely forgotten about the Space Force, quite honestly. But that was another military use application where they're saying, hey, communication times between satellites is such a lag that artificial intelligence has the perfect application for what we are trying to do in space. And again, it's permeating pretty much every industry that you can think of right now, whether it's healthcare, military. So I struggle to challenge the narrative that there's going to be the growth required to support the excitement about the industry.
Yeah, I'm actually just, this is kind of, it's the places that are of interest to me, because what got everyone on the AI hype train was the stuff that you could easily see. Hey, I want to ask a question about this and get a response. The stuff that you're talking about where the growth really is, it's not as visible, at least initially. Especially if you're talking about military technology.
Yeah, you won't know about it until a decade after it's out.
You won't. Not even a decade. You're going to need like an FOIA request like 40 years from now to figure out like what actually happened. So I guess there's something there. We know, like it's not just hype with AI, but when we talk about market impact, it's hype plus like the actual narrative of like what's going on in the story that you can see. If you can't tell the story because it's too confidential, what does that mean?
Sure. Yeah, look, I think the warning that I take away from it all is whenever there's a revolutionary new technology, there are always a just huge number of scam artists out there that will try and claim that they have an advantage in the space as well. And so, like with any new emerging technologies, there will be probably some massive winners and probably some massive losers and many individuals who will try and claim to be in one camp versus the other without really anything to back it up. So you saw it with the advent of the internet. You saw it with plenty of other technologies in the past, and don't be surprised if that's what happens here too.
Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, I want to talk about what's going on at pharmacies and specifically how CVS is trying to figure out how to solve a problem of their own creation, and that is overworked pharmacists. So let's talk about that when we return.
Business and financial news affecting the markets and your wallet. We've got it all straight from Wall Street, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Fine-tuning your financial strategy as the year comes to a close is very important. So this month, we're sharing what we believe are the most crucial year-end financial tips. As 2023 winds down, there are several opportunities for you to consider that may help you end this year with as little concern as possible about your overall planning. Things like maximizing your charitable giving, offsetting your capital gains, and contributing as much money as you can to your IRA or 401k plan. We'll walk you through these issues and more in our new free guide report called the Top Year-End Financial Tips. Get yours today by calling 800-393-4001. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can also request the guide online by visiting our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Securing your family's financial future is one of the most important elements of estate planning. Leaving assets to your children can be very beneficial. However, gifting these assets can pose major problems. If you gift your home to your kids and they suddenly decide to sell it, your gift could create massive capital gains tax problems. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law. Let them help with your legacy planning by calling 866-848-5699. Ask for their new guide called Making the Most of Gifting Assets. Whether you're deep into the planning process or just starting out, this guide contains the information you'll need to make the right decisions for your overall plan. Call today, 866-848-5699, and get this new guide, Making the Most of Gifting Assets. That's 866-848-5699, or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News & World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com. Veterans Development Corporation is a proud partner of the DAV 5K Boston. Let's meet their CEO, Mark Vonner.
I served proudly in the Marine Corps from 1981 to 1984 and was honored to receive the U.S. Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal, one of the oldest decorations still issued to active duty personnel. I started Veterans Development Corporation to give back to the veteran community. Many of my employees are former veterans, and it is my distinct pleasure to work with them each and every day. This is why I'm so excited to be partnering with the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts on this year's DAV 5K. If not for the DAV, many of our disabled veterans would not have access to critical services that they need to live comfortably. I hope that by telling my story, many more of our veterans will achieve their goals and dreams post-service.
Veterans Development Corporation is proudly partnered with the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts and the presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. If you'd like to help our great American heroes by making a donation, visit dav5k.boston. Miss any of the show? You can catch up at your convenience by visiting financialexchangeshow.com and clicking the on-demand icon, where you'll find all of our interviews and full shows. This is your home for the latest business and financial news in New England and around the country. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
CVS pharmacists are at a breaking point. They recently had a 3-day walkout along with colleagues at Walgreens. And the reason why is that they're being asked to do more and more, and they're basically being hung out to dry by the company, in my opinion. I recently, about a month or so ago, went in to get a flu shot, and there was a line going basically from the back of the store all the way to the front, because there were 2 people at the pharmacy desk, one of whom was a pharmacist, the other I think was a pharmacy tech, and the pharmacist was pretty much being asked to fill prescriptions for everyone and handle all of these vaccination appointments, and just couldn't do, like, I totally get it, it's not their fault, like, they had 30 people booked for like a half-hour window of vaccine appointments, and people trying to get in there to, obviously get prescriptions, and the whole thing was just backed up. It took me an hour to finally get through there, and it's just a mess, quite honestly.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. Kid needed some amoxicillin for an ear infection the other day, and there was a line for the pharmacy, 20 people deep, and the workers there are clearly visibly frustrated and stressed. And that comes after a couple of years of being told that like the nursing staff, right? You are told that you are necessary to be there at all times. It's coming off of a couple of years. Remember when there was all sorts of medicine shortages, like outside of vaccinations and things like that. I remember last year, like, you couldn't get amoxicillin. There was a shortage of it, and you can imagine how just frustrating that can be as any medical worker who's trying to do right by their patients, but seems to be running into walls and barriers all over the place, which is the frustrating part to me is I really believe that could CVS execute on it, that it would be a very compelling model, right? Like I have used the Minute Clinics before, and I really do believe that if I could have a primary care physician or just urgent care along with a bunch of other services located inside of CVS, it would mean a lot of convenience. But the math just doesn't seem to be working out for them, and it's a company that was built off of the idea that me coming in for that amoxicillin prescription is also going to go buy a bunch of inflated priced grocery items around the store too, and that's just not happening anymore. So I don't know. I don't know where this goes. I think it's a great model. I don't think CVS is going out of business, but the pressure that they are inflicting on their pharmacists and now having a tough time retaining is immense, and I can see being a real big challenge.
If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December, according to U.S. News & World Report. December is the start of dry season on the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com, learn about all 3 islands, and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean Paradise is waiting for you, so head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Chuck, one more item on the pharmacy piece.
Yes.
I live in a town, fairly small town, 31,000 population. We have 2 CVS's, a Walgreens, and a local pharmacy chain all in this town of 31,000 people. I think we might just be having a bit of an oversupply of pharmacy situations here. Like CVS may just have way too many retail locations, and that could be part of the problem here.
Well,
doesn't explain why they're all busy all the time.
It's hard for me to say. I don't think it's a location issue. I think it's a problem where they simply are trying to do stuff that is more labor intensive while not bringing on enough labor. I mean, like if we're both saying, hey, we've been to CVS's in the last month that have had giant lines at the pharmacy.
Same with me, by the way.
It doesn't strike me as the idea that we have too many pharmacies. Right? I guess I'm not quite how are we getting there?
Yeah, I hear you that there are lines and it's causing a problem, but like, hey, CVS, merge some locations here and put fully staff your locations that you have, rather than having. I mean, how many retail locations does this company have across the country? It just seems to me that there are. I don't know.
It would
as many as Starbucks.
So, I also think CVS could handle this better if they split up what was being done and built a dedicated clinic in their stores. And what I mean by that is, you go in to get your vaccination now, and just like this is the ones I've been to, it's okay, you go up to the pharmacy counter, that person's like busy doing a million things, then you wait for them, and then they just take you behind like a curtain, and then you're done. If CVS really thinks that that delivering more health care is where they want to be going, then why don't you put up a couple actual walls and put a real urgent care clinic in your CVS's and run that business too if you think that that's where the money is? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
if they're saying we want to do more healthcare, then do more healthcare. Don't just be like, hey, this person went to pharmacy school and is really smart. Because, by the way, being a pharmacist, it's not easy. I know people think that it's just like, oh, like pull this lever and put X number of pills in here. But you actually have to be trained on like the drug interactions and stuff so that you can talk to people about, hey, here's how this is going to work. Or, just as importantly, you're kind of the last line of defense in making sure someone gets medication that's going to help them and is not going to cause a problem. Because one doctor might prescribe one drug, one might prescribe another, and then you're in the middle saying, hey, gee, these don't work well together. Maybe we need to do something.
And those same people did not go to school to get pressure from their corporate employer to make sure that they sell this many vaccines that month.
No. You want to do that, like, fine, open an urgent care clinic and hire, a bunch of people that, like, do specifically actual health care, like, that deliver health care to people. A pharmacist is trained to do completely different things that are really valuable, and it's like saying that because someone drives a car, we're gonna have them fly a plane. Because if you can drive a car, you can drive a plane. Like, no, they're different things. So I think that's bothersome to me also. Mike, probably the best time news dump over the weekend was GM saying that they were getting rid of the CEO of their cruise division.
Yeah.
No one paid attention because of the OpenAI mess.
Can bury that one.
So, well done, GM. You timed that one perfectly. We'll talk a little bit more about that one in the second hour. Quick break here. More coming up in just a bit.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke, a partner with the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with a master's in taxation. And today we're talking about the implications of gifting your assets away. Todd, what happens if you give your home to your child in an effort to protect it from the nursing home, and later on you decide you want to sell it?
Yeah, that's just one of the problems of giving away your house, but let's explore it. If you give your house to your child thinking, okay, that was easy, but now you don't own it. So now you really have no right to live there and, of course, no right to sell it. Right now, if you happen to have kids that are really nice and you ask their permission, which I don't ever want my clients to have to do, to say, please sell the house, you've also given them a huge tax liability because all the proceeds would go to them. Now, you don't have the money you need to buy your new house. And plus, if they don't live with you, then they don't get this capital gains exclusion that goes around along with selling your primary residence. So you're creating an adverse capital gains tax bill for them to pay. And then in addition to that, if they are nice, after they pay the tax, then they have to give you the money back, which could create a gift tax problem for them and impact their estate planning efforts. Finally, you get the money back, and then you can go ahead and buy another house. Folks, don't go through that. Set up an irrevocable trust to protect your assets from the cost of long-term care.
Educate yourself about the implications of gifting your assets away. Request your free copy of Todd's brand new guide called Making the Most of Gifting Assets right now by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request a copy from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Are you retired like me, and you just found out you owe the IRS a ton of money? Well, what would your life be like if they took your retirement savings away from you? They can do it, and your property. If you owe the IRS back taxes or you haven't filed in a while, the Tax Relief Line is here to help you. They can stop the IRS from taking your retirement savings. If you qualify, you could have your tax bill reduced to zero. That's right, if you're retired and you owe the IRS a lot in back taxes, you could have your entire tax bill reduced to zero due. The IRS has now hired thousands of new employees, so they're ready to come after you. Don't let them take your retirement savings or property. Make this free call now.
800-251-2153. 800-251-2153. 800-251-2153. That's 800-251-2153.
This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM, Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network. If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News and World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visit usvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Legacy planning is incredibly important if you want to make sure you keep your assets in your family. But if it isn't done properly, you can create significant problems. Gifting assets to your children is admirable, but may not always be the best course of action, especially if there are financial difficulties or a divorce proceeding. Learn how to protect yourself and your family by calling Cushing & Dolan and asking for their brand new guide called Making the Most of Gifting Assets. In it, you'll learn about information related to the gifting process, what tax issues may arise from a major gift like a home or a vacation property, and what happens to the asset if a child has creditor issues. Call 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or request it online from their website, legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
For 40 years, Cancer Support Community has been a relentless ally for anyone impacted by cancer, with free services provided online and in person, with their newest location in Massachusetts. Connect with Cancer Support Community Massachusetts for free emotional support, educational resources, patient navigation, financial counseling, and more. 617-797-3391. CancerSupportMass.org. CancerSupportMass.org.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Fine-tuning your financial strategy as the year comes to a close is very important. So this month, we're sharing what we believe are the most crucial year-end financial tips. As 2023 winds down, there are several opportunities for you to consider that may help you end this year with as little concern as possible about your overall planning. Things like maximizing your charitable giving, offsetting your capital gains, and contributing as much money as you can to your IRA IRA or 401k plan. We'll walk you through these issues and more in our new free guide called the Top Year-End Financial Tips. Get yours today by calling 800-393-4001. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can also request the guide online by visiting our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor that provides investment advisory services. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else, and do not guarantee profit. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting DAV5K.Boston and making a donation today. The DAV 5K Boston is presented by Veterans Development Corporation. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
Kicking off hour 2 of the Financial Exchange, and we've got the Dow up 97 points, about 0.25%. The S&P's up 18 points, about 0.4%. NASDAQ leading the way, up 105 points, 0.75%. So all three major U.S. indices in positive territory once again as we continue the bounce back from the third quarter doldrums in markets. We've got oil up 191 a barrel to 77.80, so making a move towards the high end of the 70s instead of just hanging out in the mid to low end of that range. While we're talking energy prices, AAA national average for gas prices is currently, let's see what we've got. Oh, here we go. We're at $3.30 a gallon, so continuing to drop. Remember, it was back in early October. We were at $3.85 a gallon nationally, so if you're going to be hopping on the road today, tomorrow, Wednesday, whenever it is, going to see friends and family for Thanksgiving, gas prices down more than 10% in the last month, so that'll feel pretty good, I think. That's not bad. We've got gold. The yellow metal is down $9.90 an ounce to $19.74.80, and that is what's moving in markets today. Mike, let's talk about this piece in the Wall Street Journal. It's talking about how Wall Street has a plan for a soft landing. It says buy more stocks. Is that what we're seeing right now? Is people are saying, hey, the soft landing is here, and if that's the case, then we want to own some stocks?
I can't really disagree with it. I can disagree with the fact that we will have a soft landing, but that certainly seems to be the market reaction to it most recently. The reversal in the trend starting really on November 1st has been all about inflation peaking and the Fed's response to it having already peaked. And so that does not prove soft landing. I have to, this isn't a dual choice, right? This isn't, heads or tails, heads being inflation and tails being soft landing. There are a number of different paths that this economy could take. But in a lot of ways, it seems to me that, yes, investors are betting on the idea that not only is inflation behind us, which I think might be the right conclusion, but I don't think is foregone. And then, two, that this economy isn't going to fall into a recession anytime in the near future seems to be the other insinuation from investors recently.
And our soft landing definition was?
Unemployment and inflation staying below 4.5% in 2024.
So, yeah, I would say in general, if unemployment doesn't move up any further and inflation stays low, then, yeah, stocks are priced highly, but you've got a case where there's runway for them to grow into that. forward 12-month price-to-earnings ratio on the S&P 500 right now, according to FactSet, is 18.6. The 5-year average is 18.8. The 10-year is 17.6. So in order to justify that kind of valuation on the market as a whole, you do have to be saying, hey, rates are going to be able to stay where they are or move down a little bit, and growth can't fall apart so much that earnings get hit too hard, because then we're valued more steeply. So it's a narrow path that stocks are threading right now, and we're going to know in a few months, I think, whether or not that's legit. Because if what we're seeing right now in terms of slowing growth is going to turn into a recession, again, you got to have a timeline on your recession call. You can't say there's going to be a recession in the next 3 years, because that's useless to anyone. With what we're seeing in slowing growth right now, if there's going to be a recession, it's going to show up by the time we get to February and see the January data. That's where I've kind of landed at this point. I don't know if we get to a recession or not. I don't have a recession call, but we're going to know in the next few months whether or not we're heading into one, I think.
And your point there would just be that the trend in the data recently has been such a dramatic slowing that it'll either plateau in the next few months or head further down. Is that the general conclusion? That's just the direction the data has been going?
We're going to see if there's a leveling off and we get the soft landing, or if the plane keeps going down. It's like, hey, Bill, pull up. Like, we're trying to land here. Don't keep going down.
In terms of expectations around rates, I always find that to be intriguing, because we were really seeing a big divergence in the last year and a half between what the Federal Reserve was telling us, what investors were expecting, and how markets were reacting to all of it. I just kind of randomly picked the May meeting of next year, right? Because we do expect a lot of data to come out between now and the next few months. That gets us towards midway next year. Today, the Fed funds target rate is between 5.25% and 5.5%. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange right now is showing us a 46.5% likelihood that the rates are 0.25% lower than where they are right now, and a 12.7% that they're a 0.5 percentage point lower. So there had been previously some big expectations around rapid rate cuts. I'm not really seeing those in markets the same way that I think we were start of this year, for example.
Well, no, I mean, look, you're still seeing by end of next year maybe a 1 to 1.25% pricing in of cuts. It's, I think where I've gotten to is, okay, that's probably justified based on what we're seeing now, whereas earlier this year it wasn't.
Right. My problem is that it's justified if there's a recession.
Well, no, it's even if there's not, this is, because think about how the mechanics of this work. If you think that in a normal recession the Fed cuts 2.5%, and you think it's a coin flip that you're getting a recession, then seeing rate cuts being priced in at 1.25%, that's the market hedging that.
Right. That's what I meant there, is that this tool is pricing in that possibility of recession.
Yeah.
It's not pricing in a really robust, strong economy with rate cuts.
Now, equities are pricing in the soft landing, because if you think you're heading to recession, you're not trading 18.5 times earnings, times forward earnings. You're trading 14.5, 15.5.
Right.
And so equities are still saying, hey, we're all good. Bonds are saying there's probably a recession coming. And this year, in 2023, stocks were right. Stocks were right this year. Bonds were wrong this year. People have to say, oh, well, the bond market's the smart money. The bond market was really stupid last year.
Yep.
And it was dumb in a different way this year, but it was not right in either case.
Yeah. I think we always contextualize all of our information, but I think if you were to just kind of plop yourself into the economy over the last 6 months, I think most people just looking from an outside perspective would say, oh boy, that's a pretty rapid slowdown, right? If you take a look at any of the metrics that we frequently look at, oil prices, the unemployment rate, the number of new job creations. I think the actual unemployment rate isn't pointing in this direction, but the move in all of these things, the trend has been towards a slowdown, right?
Yeah.
Any of those things you look at and you say, okay, yeah, that's pointing towards a significant slowdown. When you contextualize that around the fact that we had an economy that was just firing on all cylinders this year and last, it puts that in further context. But if you're just plop yourself in here and look at the trend line on, new jobs created over the last 6 months, you would come to a very clear conclusion that, wow, this is slowing down pretty rapidly, and unless something changes, recession is what's looking like it's out there. But again, it's been a very strange few years here with a lot of interference in free markets.
Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll have trivia, and then we'll be talking about how Walmart feels the U.S. consumer is trending heading into year-end.
If you missed any of today's show, catch up whenever you want on our YouTube page. Find daily show segments and full shows. Just go to youtube.com and search for The Financial Exchange. This is your home for breaking business and financial news. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News and World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com. Veterans Development Corporation is a proud partner of the DAV 5K Boston. Let's meet their CEO, Mark Vonner.
I'm no stranger to the military community. My late uncle, Albert Vonner, served proudly in the 1st Marine Division in World War II and gave the ultimate sacrifice for his country. I am surrounded by a family of disabled veterans, including my father, Victor, and brother, Timothy. I am a veteran, and I have dedicated my business and my life to helping veterans. My company, Veterans Development Corporation, works to help disabled veterans every day, and it's one of the key reasons why I'm such a big supporter of Dan Stack and the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. I am so thrilled to be proudly partnered with this year's DAV 5K.
Veterans Development Corporation is proudly partnered with the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts and the presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. If you'd like to help our great American heroes by making a donation, visit dav5k.boston.
Hi folks, it's Susan and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group to talk with you today about our top year-end planning tips, which are featured in our brand new guide for the month of November. There's a lot of information in this guide, Mike, that we can certainly use throughout the course of the year, but some of the tips that we've included, if you don't implement them before year-end, it's too late. What are those?
Yeah, so a lot of them have to do with retirement accounts. So for instance, if you have a required minimum distribution, that's a 12/31 due date, and most of the custodians actually require you to do it earlier than that, so get on it if you have an RMD. If you're considering a Roth conversion, that also needs to be done by December 31st. You can't do it until your tax filing deadline. And 401k contributions, once again, must be in to your employer-sponsored plan before year-end. You have a little bit more flexibility if you have an IRA, but with some of those things, it's by year-end, not the tax filing deadline. There's also a big one to keep track of this time of year that a lot of people look into, and that has to do with harvesting potential losses. And given the way that markets have fluctuated this year, it very well could be that you have some capital losses in an investment portfolio, and at least looking at those and seeing how they could benefit you from a tax perspective is important. Obviously, caveat, speak with a tax professional or advisor when looking at this type of thing.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Folks, you can request your free copy of this brand new guide by calling 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001. You can also request your free copy of our top year-end planning tips guide by visiting our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Text us at 617-362-1385 with your comments and questions about today's show, and let us know what you think about the stories we are covering. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
And half-price warm pretzels dipped in beer cheese. Gather with friends any day of the week at Applebee's and say hello to half-price appetizers served late night, because half off is just more fun. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood. Void where prohibited, dine in only. Well, 1 year ago today, Bob Iger returned to Disney less than a year after he retired. Disney has had a financially difficult run releasing movies that weren't either Marvel or Star Wars in the past 15 years. Disney has lost more than $100 million on 12 movies since 2009. Trivia question today: which movie is the biggest box office bomb in the last 20 years? Once again, which movie is the biggest box office bomb in the last 20 years? Be the fifth person today to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, and you win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt and be registered to win a $100 gift card to Applebee's. Be sure to include the keyword Applebee's in your text, and we'll give away that Applebee's gift card I guess Wednesday, because of the holiday, right? 617-362-1385, and the fifth correct response will be our winner. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
There's a piece in the Wall Street Journal, Mike, talking about how even Walmart is worried about the U.S. consumer. It's interesting. I didn't quite get that from their... I think they are in a certain respect, in that they're talking about how they don't need to go through the types of hiring and wages that they were pushing through the last couple of years because they might not think the demand is there. But I think they're positioning it internally, at least, or rather externally, in that, hey, we think we're going to be able to really get aggressive on cutting prices because we're also seeing lower prices coming from our suppliers now, and so we think this will be a net positive.
Yeah, I think that this was really writing of an article off of one quote from Walmart, which had to do with the drop-off in sales. What did they quote? The last 2 weeks of the quarter? They saw a pretty significant drop-off. And I don't mean to diminish the significance of that. That is the exact period of time that you expect sales to be increasing heading into the holiday season. So I think it's fair to say that that is of concern. I would also say I don't really understand why, even Walmart. Like, Walmart is not immune to shoppers' downturns and shopper behavioral changes. In fact, they are probably the first ones to experience it. They serve a almost perfect cross-section of the American public and do more retail business than anyone else out there. And so, Walmart is worried about the consumer. I think that's probably fair to say. Internally they're probably finding ways or looking for ways that they can execute on that concern, right? How can we be the cheapest place out there for all these goods, or at least maintain that reputation? But I think it's fair to say, they would prefer that everyone's still spending like crazy on televisions and Bose headphones and things along those lines.
And what we're seeing alongside this is that Deloitte conducts a survey of shoppers on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. 84% of shoppers, according to that survey, feel confident enough to stick with the budgets that they set in September, and consumers expected to spend an average of $567 during Black Friday and Cyber Monday shopping events. That's up 13% from last year.
So how do we reconcile all this?
Well,
because inflation's not up 13% year over year. And in fact, in those specific areas where you think about Black Friday spending, I don't know about you, I think of TVs, which are cheaper this year than last. But all sorts of different consumer products are cheaper right now than they were last year. Other than that guy from that SNL commercial, most people aren't buying a Mercedes for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. And so most of these items that people are looking at are in fact cheaper. Actually, I guess Mercedes are probably cheaper than they were this time last year too, so that's a bad example.
So, yeah, in trying to reconcile this, I guess I come back to pay attention to what people do, not what people say. Maybe.
And in particular, when you talk about companies and how they report earnings, one of the very common things they try and do is set expectations low in order to beat those expectations when they actually roll out their results. And so Walmart telling you, hey, we expect deflation, we expect some problems with the consumer, is not exactly out of tune with how they would normally sound if they had some concerns about the quarter, but were hoping to deliver better than expected results.
Mike, the other thing I'm trying to figure out here, just in terms of, minutia that interested me, I'm going to quote here, an estimated 182 million people are planning to shop from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday, the most since 2017. Mike, how many adults are there in the U.S.?
I don't know. Does that make up most of them? No, it can't. 200 million?
I'm trying to find a number here.
Yeah, the portion of our population that's 18 or older has to be
a couple, like 200, 220 million?
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark.
So this is really saying that 90% of people are going to shop on Black Friday or Cyber Monday?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I'm not shocked. You're shocked by that?
I always thought that Black Friday was very, not a niche, but it still is not like everyone.
I agree there.
I guess maybe Cyber Monday is just bigger than I think now.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Is like every time I go on the internet, somebody is advertising their Cyber Monday deals that have already started at this stage and are going to continue for.
Well, that's the thing. Is I've already grabbed a couple last things that I wanted because the sales are already happening now.
Yeah, but you are the exception to the rule, Chuck. The rest of us are procrastinators. I'm buying all my gifts on like December 13th.
Same.
Oh, well, no, I'm buying next year's gifts.
Yeah, I know. Chuck's already got his Christmas lights out. He has for a couple weeks. He's been testing them since September.
They're not all out. It takes me a couple weeks to get them all set up, and I was trying to get ahead because I don't know if you walked outside today, but it's cold, and yesterday was not. So yesterday was a great day to be getting the lights on the bushes and everything instead of.
I tease you. I whipped out all the extension cords and tested my lights. So I did that on Sunday.
Just leave them out all year.
I've thought about it.
You don't?
I've thought about doing that, quite honestly.
Saves time.
So there's a few that I can't because I wrap a bunch of tree trunks and I don't want to suffocate my trees.
Why not?
Well, it also, the lights eventually die because as the tree trunk expands, it stretches the cord, and then now you've got tree trunks that have lights embedded in them that you can't get out that don't work.
Yeah.
Which is very, very not good. And the other piece, quite honestly, is it's expensive to run them year-round. I don't know if I can afford to run them year-round, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It looks quite festive in April.
You would think with the solar kicking in the summer months, you'd be just fine, Chuck. Plus, it's a shorter run time that time of year.
I did the math the last couple of years, and again, it's fine for the holidays and everything. But
by the holidays, he means starting on Halloween Day and then continuing right through the new year.
No, I even though I put them up now, I don't turn them on until after Thanksgiving.
Good.
And then I usually keep them on until mid-January, just because you need something to kind of elevate your spirits when it's dark at 4:30 in January.
Is your tree up?
It's dark at 4:30 now.
No, we're getting the trees next weekend. Because you can't get a tree now. It's going to be dead before Christmas.
Well, I know a couple people already put their tree up in their living room. I was like, oh, that's aggressive.
No.
Thanksgiving.
We're holding out until, especially with Thanksgiving being early this year, we're going to do the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
this year.
December 1st.
December 1st weekend. That's because otherwise, look, the tree's dead the moment you cut it down, I know, but otherwise you got needles falling by December 8th.
Yeah, unless you got the fake tree or whatever. But
my parents did one of those this year.
Smart.
They did. Yeah, let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about mortgages in the U.S., and we'll also have the trivia answer when we return.
We are the Debt Destroyer Network. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now for free information that helps you destroy your debt. It's great advice. Plus, when you make this free call now, we have debt destroyer experts ready to help. They can show you how to destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help slash your debt. Call the Debt Destroyer now for free information. Call now. 800-430-8804. 800-430-8804. 800-430-8804. Again, that's 800-430-8804.
If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News and World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Building a solid financial strategy is a core element to enjoying your retirement years. That's why you need advice that you can count on. At the Armstrong Advisory Group, we understand the challenges of positioning your assets to help you maintain your wealth over time. Our goal is to offer advice that is both suitable and in your best interest. When you hire one of us, you hire all of us so you can be comfortable knowing that every advisor in our firm is dedicated to helping you create a realistic plan for your later years. Visit us today at armstrongadvisory.com and sign up for a free, no-obligation planning session. Click the Get Started button at the top right corner of the homepage, and you can select the day and time that works best for you. Go to armstrongadvisory.com and let us help you secure your financial future. That's armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke, a partner with the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with a master's in taxation. And today, we're talking about the implications of gifting assets away. Todd, if you're trying to protect your assets from the cost of long-term care expenses, what are the risks in giving your assets to a child rather than transferring them to an irrevocable trust?
Yeah, that's a great question. So many people feel like, oh my gosh, it's an irrevocable trust. I've lost all control. I've given up the ability to do just about anything. You know, you hear that all the time. But you know what? Think about it. If I instead gave my investment portfolio to my children, right, or my rental property to my children, I mean, how much control do I have over that? I got none. I mean, I got to rely on them to pretty much do everything, not to mention the fact that, you know, let's say I gave my rental property away. Technically, I can't sell it. I can't do anything without the children doing it. And what you forget is the children then would be entitled to all the rent. Well, you gave away your rental income. You know, what about if a child gets a divorce and you gave them an investment portfolio to hold on to? Well, that money would all be subject to their divorce or any of their creditors. Plus, it all gets picked up on their income tax return. Folks, you give away assets, you lose all control and create lots of adverse income tax and gift tax consequences. You're way better off setting up an irrevocable trust to protect your assets from the cost of long-term care.
Educate yourself about the implications of gifting your assets away. Request your free copy of Todd's brand new guide called Making the Most of Gifting Assets right now by calling 866-848-5699, or you can request a copy from LegalExchangeShow.com. Once again, 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, LegalExchangeShow.com.
The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. For your chance to win our daily trivia contest, text us at 617-362-1385. Complete rules are available at financialexchangeshow.com. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Trivia question today was, which movie is the biggest box office bomb in the last 20 years? Well, that would be John Carter. Released in 2012, it was supposed to be the first film in a new franchise, but unfortunately the movie lost $240 million worldwide. Disney would lose another $230 million the following year with the release of The Lone Ranger. Bruce from Whitensville, Mass. is taking home the Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. He's also registered to win a $100 gift card to Applebee's, which we'll give away on Wednesday on this short holiday week. And trivia is brought to you by Applebee's. Choose from a variety of half-price late-night appetizers after 9 p.m. because half off is just more fun. Now, that's eating good in the neighborhood. Void where prohibited. Dine in only.
Mike, there's a piece in the Wall Street Journal that I think was published on Saturday or Sunday, but it's talking about the large number of people that end up getting caught up in state-level estate or inheritance taxes despite being well below the threshold federally because they're either just unaware that there's a state-level one or they haven't done, proper planning, but it's something that happens often in the number of states now that have state-level estate taxes, which I think it's currently 17 states plus D.C. that have these in place.
Yeah, and specifically every state in New England other than New Hampshire, if you weren't aware. So, I do think probably listeners of this show are more aware of this than the general public. But certainly when you talk to somebody, talk to people all over the country, and you talk to somebody from Texas about the idea that Massachusetts has this separate estate taxes, and it's a completely foreign concept to a lot of people. I frequently hear too, like, I don't need to plan for this. I'm moving to Florida, and Chuck, maybe you're the best example of this since your parents specifically did the south and then north move again. But
yes,
how many people do you know who moved to somewhere in a state tax-free state, and then for any number of reasons, right? It can be family changes. Very common if you lose a spouse, for example. Hey, I was down in Florida, lost my spouse, and now I just want to be closer to my kids and grandkids, and so I'm moving back to Massachusetts. And I see that, unfortunately, just all the time in terms of, hey, we make all these plans, and then they all get reversed. But just being aware of it and its existence is usually not enough to actually deal with the problem. You do need to actually plan for it. And the problem with these types of taxes is that they vary dramatically state by state, right? Like we think about other taxes that vary a lot by state. We have states with income taxes, those without. But
Sure.
When we're talking about the scale of something like an estate or an inheritance tax, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars all at once. And so it stings a little bit differently than if you are paying a slightly higher income tax year after year, or some other type of taxes that we all face. My point with all of this is, when you think about financial advice, I don't think most people think about things like the estate tax. They think about investment management and planning for retirement. But the point would be that this and other financial related questions are what financial advisors focus on day in and day out. It's how do we look at the entire scope of your plan and make long-term forecasts and plans for your overall situation. If you're feeling as though you need to evaluate that and have a big picture look at things. I see this all the time where, hey, I feel like I'm doing the right job, but I haven't had anybody take a look at the big picture. I don't know how it's all going to work down the road. Call our office at the Armstrong Advisory Group. The number is 800-393-4001. Again, that number for the Armstrong Advisory Group is 800-393-4001. Let us help you take a look at the big picture and get the actual professionals involved that you need, whether that's a financial planner, estate planning attorneys, tax accountants. It's not all going to be in one place necessarily, but taking a look at that big picture is really tremendously important. 800-393-4001.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
There's a piece in the New York Times, Mike, talking about the rise of the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage over the last, really the second half of the 20th century and now into the 21st century is really the staple of America's housing market and kind of what's allowed it to get to this point. And it does make the case that this is good for some people, bad for others in terms of availability. I've remarked that the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage on an individual level, it's effectively buying your way into rent control for your housing costs. Because if you say, look, I'm taking out a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage at 5% and I'm paying $1,000 a month, no matter how high rent goes, no matter how high housing prices go, you got a fixed rate on, you have a fixed cost for your housing. Yes, your taxes will adjust, but more or less your cost for housing is fixed for that 30-year period if you want it to be. And because you're able to, generally most mortgages don't have prepayment penalties and things like that, if rates go down, hey, you can refinance and make it even cheaper, which is something that's kind of unique to the U.S. too.
Yeah, there is no other mortgage market that looks exactly like this. Germany's is similar, Denmark's is similar, but in a lot of those cases, for instance, you can't easily refinance out of your mortgage, and so when you agree to one of these 30-year terms, it's generally not going to be changed. And look, I think it's correct to look at this and say this is part of what's to blame for this housing market today. I also think that if you asked the average American and said, even the ones that don't have a mortgage right now, like, oh, would you want to see the structure of how mortgages work change? The answer would be resoundingly no, right? This is generally speaking, I think a benefit to all Americans that you have the availability of these 30-year mortgages. But at times like this, when rates have dramatically increased over a short period of time, the impact is severe, right? The payment on a $400,000 home for somebody with a 4% mortgage compared to those with a new one at 7.5%, you're looking at a $1,000 monthly difference.
Yeah.
It's hugely dramatic. I also think it's probably a self-correcting problem.
It is. And part of this is also just that, hey, as you go further, the amortization schedule means that you're paying off more of your principal over time. And at some point, you get to a point where, hey, 2 years from now, okay, a few people with mortgages say, yeah, you know what, we can afford to move now, even though rates are still, in the sixes or wherever they end to be. A couple of years later, hey, you know what, we're further along, we can do the same thing, we've got more equity. It's something that does correct over time, but it takes a while to get there.
And it can be painful, right? I mean, there could be industries here that change dramatically, right? If a bunch of older Americans decide that they are not going to move because they've got these fixed rate mortgages or no mortgages at all, then that could upend, independent and assisted living facilities. It could change things pretty dramatically, and we're starting to see some of that. But what I struggle with is whenever I see a story like this, I was actually looking for it in the article, like, okay, well, who's the person that's going to come in and say, and this is the government policy we need to fix this problem? And I don't think that that's what we need.
It gets at something that does bother me a little bit about financial media. And just, I guess, this might be just media in general maybe, but you see it with different business cycles where it seems like we're always on the lookout for
a scapegoat.
Who's, aggrieved by what's going on in markets. So, just as an example, back in 2010, it was, oh my goodness, falling home prices, how are homeowners ever going to survive? Now it's, hey, no one can afford a house anymore.
How are we going to survive?
2010, oh my goodness, wages are going up so slowly, this is awful. Today, wages are going up so fast, we're heading into a wage price spiral. 2010, hey, savers are just being punished because you can't get enough in terms of interest. This is all. Today, oh my goodness, rates are so high, how can we get a mortgage?
Every single economic environment is going to benefit some and hurt others.
But it's just, we can't make these things the end of the world. This is, this is the whole idea behind like diversification of everything financial, which is there's always going to be one asset or one income stream that's doing well or poorly at any given time. And the way to navigate it is by not having all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just does anyone write the articles right now? Hey, what a great time for savers. No, we only write the bad stuff. No, how often do you see the piece written, wow, look how easily you can get 5% on CDs right now? And, you know, it's sometimes things aren't all bad all the time.
Can't believe we have to say that.
We do, though. I'm not saying things are perfect, but it's okay to write things that are, you know, balanced on this. I mean, yes, mortgage rates are high. Fine. Would you rather go back to 2010 in that housing market?
Nope. I'll take this one.
Oh, like, I don't know. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for Stack Roulette.
Find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange on our YouTube page. Get caught up on anything and everything you might have missed. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Veterans Development Corporation is a proud partner of the DAV 5K Boston. Let's meet their CEO, Mark Vonner.
I served proudly in the Marine Corps from 1981 to 1984 and was honored to receive the U.S. Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal, one of the oldest decorations still issued to active duty personnel. I started Veterans Development Corporation to give back to the veteran community. Many of my employees are former veterans, and it is my distinct pleasure to work with them each and every day. This is why I'm so excited to be partnering with the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts on this year's DAV 5K. If not for the DAV, many of our disabled veterans would not have access to critical services that they need to live comfortably. I hope that by telling my story, many more of our veterans will achieve their goals and dreams post-service.
Veterans Development Corporation is proudly partnered with the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts and the presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. If you'd like to help our great American heroes by making a donation, visit dav5k.boston. If you're looking for an incredible vacation filled with sun, fun, and no need for a passport, look no further than the United States Virgin Islands. St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John were voted the #1 vacation destination to visit this December according to U.S. News and World Report. December is the start of the dry season in the islands, so you can expect perfect temperatures, beautiful beaches, a wide variety of water sports, world-class cuisine, and a vibrant nightlife. From the moment you arrive, you'll fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no money to exchange, and travel from New England could not be easier. Make your plans now before Old Man Winter comes calling. Head to visitusvi.com. Learn about all 3 islands and plan the ideal vacation for you and your family. America's Caribbean paradise is waiting for you. So head to visitusvi.com for more information and to reserve your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Hi, this is Susan Powers from the Armstrong Advisory Group. There are some important financial considerations to keep in mind as the end of the year approaches, so here are some crucial tips for you to think about. Our guide this month is called The Top Year-End Planning Tips, and in it, we'll walk you through key concepts like tax loss harvesting, family gifting, and properly calculating your required minimum distributions. All are important to your overall planning. Call our office today at 800-393-4001 and get your copy of this free guide that may help you finish 2023 with less concern about your financial strategy while setting you up for a positive start in 2024. Call 800-393-4001 and ask for your free guide today, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Securing your family's financial future is one of the most important elements of estate planning. Leaving assets to your children can be very beneficial. However, gifting these assets can pose major problems. If you gift your home to your kids and they suddenly decide to sell it, your gift could create massive capital gains tax problems. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law. Let them help with your legacy planning by calling 866-848-5699. Ask for their new guide called Making the Most of Gifting Assets. Whether you're deep into the planning process or just starting out, this guide contains the information you'll need to make the right decisions for your overall plan. Call today, 866-848-5699, and get this new guide, Making the Most of Gifting Assets. That's 866-848-5699 or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Missed one of our shows? Catch up anytime by asking your Alexa smart speaker to play The Financial Exchange. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
This segment of the Financial Exchange brought to you in part by the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. Fall's in full swing, the cold weather's coming, and now's the perfect time to get a head start on your next vacation. The U.S. Virgin Islands have been named one of the top Caribbean destinations so far this year, according to Travel Pulse. Explore St. Croix, St. Thomas, or St. John and enjoy incredible beaches, world-class dining, and fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no passport required or money to exchange. Go to visitusvi.com and book your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Mike, what do you got for me for Stack Roulette?
I have decided to inflict a bunch of pain on myself and my family. We are flying on Thursday at 5:30 a.m. out of Boston Logan Airport, and according to AAA, we are going to see the highest number of flyers for the Thanksgiving holiday since 2005.
Well, you're smart because you avoided another weather system that you've become so accustomed to traveling in, Mike.
Wednesday is the big one, right?
Well, for the Midwest, it's Tuesday night into Wednesday.
Okay,
or whatever.
so I'm missing out on that.
So
that was
smart.
That was not the decision-making process. The decision was entirely financial because we're flying on Thanksgiving morning, so flights were a good, I think it was like $600 cheaper for my family.
I've heard good things about flying on Thanksgiving.
It's the only, I think that either flying or driving Thanksgiving morning, it's one of the best experiences you'll ever have.
Yeah. So I'm not looking forward to this flight, but I am looking forward to getting out to Chicago, and we are currently trying to figure out what food items
Turkey.
we can pack into our suitcases and bring out to Chicago. Right now we're planning on chopping a whole bunch of vegetables at the very least to roast the vegetables out there.
What's the TSA policy on bringing tinned seafood?
Very pro. Yeah. So,
especially opening it on the plane.
Especially if you open it on the plane. Yeah.
So I bring this up because there's a piece in the New York Post today talking about how the headline is "Canned Seafood Moves Beyond Tuna Sandwiches in a Pandemic Trend That's Stuck." This is not a pandemic trend. Tinned seafood or canned seafood has been around as long as time itself, basically, since the can was invented. Believe it or not, if you actually look at the origins of the lobster industry in the U.S., until the last 80, 90 years, the vast majority of lobster that was caught was actually ended up being canned in order to be able to preserve it and use it when needed. So this is just, again, kind of what's old is new again, I guess, because this was, in the pre-refrigeration days, this was how you kept seafood from going bad, was you salted it, you canned it, and you called it a day. And now apparently it's making a comeback right now.
Yeah, so this is a very local story, but there's a wine bar in downtown Boston that I have been to called Haley Henry. It's lovely. It's in near the financial district, near downtown Crossing. And I'm looking at their menu right now because I recall this being the case. They have an entire menu section dedicated to just canned fish. I see 1, 2, 3. There's at least a dozen canned fish items on this menu.
Real quick, let me just insert, Chuck, that Island Creek Oysters has become, obviously a huge, destination on the South Shore, and they have the Windsor House, and they sell a bunch of canned seafood at their retail shop and at the Windsor House restaurant down there too. So yeah.
You guys ever been to Salty Girl in Boston?
Heard of it?
Yeah.
They have, I think it's like 35 different tins of just sardines.
Right.
If you want like sardines different ways and stuff. So this is all like it's big business actually, and it's getting popular again. And I think it's just very cool that things are heading in this direction because it's not something that's new. It's not like people are like, oh, like what else can we put in a can? No, people have been doing this for hundreds of years, and it's just kind of coming back a little bit now.
All your family members on Ozempic is going to impact your Thanksgiving meal this year. We don't have real firm numbers on how many people are taking these weight loss drugs, but anyone unfamiliar with them, this is a drug that specifically regulates your appetite and makes you not terribly hungry. And so the question is, will you actually be able to measure this in consumption this Thanksgiving holiday?
The problem with these right now is that because they're injections, that I think you need, like, it's either one every month or one every 2 weeks. I forget what the frequency is. You can't just forget to take it and do like a cheat day for Thanksgiving.
Right.
You know, if it were something you were just like a pill you were taking every morning, you could say, well, you know what, I won't take it on Thanksgiving, but you can't do that with this, obviously. So I think that when you look here, it's something where I still don't know that this is going to have a meaningful impact on like how big of a turkey you get or whatever. But you do have companies that are starting to talk about it in terms of influencing their long-term plans, mostly in like the bad-for-you snack food space.
Pepsi was the first one that came out here and cited this as a potential risk to their business model. It is really fascinating drug technology that has just, I don't know, very, very rapidly started to take over the globe in terms of consumption of this type of thing. And the implications are also just really interesting to me, right? If weight loss becomes a much easier thing to, or obesity becomes a much easier thing to treat, you know, how does that work out? What are the short-term costs versus the long-term benefits? And then just societally, right, if suddenly this is commonplace, it would change things pretty dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, when we're talking about any kind of weight gain, you're talking about calories in versus calories out is how most of it ends up breaking down. And if the net is that Americans need fewer calories, that's pretty wild in terms of what it does to overall food spending and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the follow-on things in terms of, hey, if the stuff we're seeing in terms of data right now on the reduction in things like heart attacks and strokes as a result of taking these, if that, you know, is replicated and turns out to be true too, my goodness, I mean, you think about the potential healthcare cost savings and the lives saved, it's absolutely wild in terms of what it means.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep waiting for a shoe to drop on this of these, you know, we obviously have no idea what the long-term consequences of these drugs are, but so far, you know, everything that I've read has been, you know, there's been exceptions, as there always are, to people that this is not right for.
And you have side effects, you know, and things like that, but yeah, I'm out there, I'm like, okay, eventually we're going to find out that this creates like a black hole inside you and you get enveloped by it, but like,
so far you haven't seen that.
It's like, hey, you could get nauseous eating this. Well, I could do that from too much turkey too, so, you know, whatever. Dow Jones is up 113 points. S&P's up 20. NASDAQ up 106. So all three major U.S. indices in the green. We're done for the day, but we will see you tomorrow on the Financial Exchange.